Because the thing is, people always want to know, don't they? They always ask, how long does it take you to do a drawing? How long does it take you to draw one of those? So after I finish this drawing, I will show you how to safely dislocate your ankle to get rid of that bracelet or whatever.
Oh, what a mischievous rhyming scheme. Patrick Alexander, you are a delight.
Hello, welcome to Patrick Alexander's World of Content. I'm the light of your life, Patrick Alexander. I've been wanting to do a couple of things and we can do them as one. Number one, make some small, affordable artworks that most people can buy. Well, most people who would buy things from me, my fans, who I assume are probably mostly as poor as I am. The second thing that I've been wanting to do is get a better sense of how long it takes me to draw things and make things, because I have extremely poor time sense. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to make some little artworks, postcard sized, coaster sized. We've got to do them quickly because they've got to be cheap so that people can buy them, and I've got to do them quickly so that they can be cheap and I'm not ripping myself off. So that's what we're doing today. How long will it take to draw things? We're going to draw things. That's the video. That's today's video. That's what we're doing. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It's content. So I've got my kitchen timer. As you can see, I've got some postcard sized papers and boards. I've got some coasters, actual blank kind of cheap coasters. Cheap doesn't mean bad. We'll see how that card is. We've got coasters and coaster sized boards and some other little, I don't know if we'll use these, but we've got stuff. And of course we've got my drawing pencil case, bippity boppity boo. Okay. Okay. I was wondering before about the quality of the coaster card, this particular coaster card for drawing, and as you'd expect from a normal, cheap beer coaster. As you can see, it is extremely bleedy, so I probably should not have chosen the Bimoji to ink with. Probably a fine liner of some kind would have been better, but I tested the pens on this completely unrelated bit of scrap copy paper. It didn't occur to me for some reason to test on another coaster, even though I've got this big stack of 100 of them. Oh, Oh, well, geez. I'll just proceed, I guess, with a light touch. Oh wow, yeah, even the 0.1 millimeter fine liner is pretty bleedy. All right. Coaster number 61. As you wander, should you weary, just unwrap your onigiri. Keep the plastic, do not litter, lest I drown you in the shitter. And there we have it. There's Raimondo Person wandering and eating his onigiri, and we shall assume that the clear cellophane wrapping that it came in when he bought it at the Combini is stowed in his pants pocket. Anyway, this took, as you can see on the kitchen timer, about 45, nearly 46 minutes, which is longer than I intended. I was really aiming for like half an hour maximum. So yeah, I'm relatively happy with it, but that's a bit unsettling, isn't it? I was really trying not to linger and think too much or even really at all about the content or the layout. I was consciously telling myself, no, just plow ahead, do what you do a character, do a blobby tree, whatever comes out. For example, at one point, when I decided to do this pattern on the tree, I thought, oh, it would be nice to get a coloured pen rather than the black fine liner to do the outlines for that. And, you know, I thought that would look nice, and I'm sure it would look nice. But I told myself, no, don't do that. Just do it like you would do it back in the old days when you were at the pub and all you had was the coaster and the pencil case. Originally as well, in my head, what I saw for the sky was, yes, a cloud pattern with a sky behind it. And I was going to have the sky with these two shades of blue as kind of like stripes of blue for no particular reason other than I thought it would look cool. But in the end, I decided against that. I decided to lean into this blobby flower pattern thing, sort of curving across here and then moving up across the surfaces here and here. That seemed to be happening, so I just went with that. And that probably saved a bit of time because I realised that doing the stripy thing would have been quite fiddly and time-consuming, even more than it already was. The 45 minutes does not include the time for composing this masterpiece of a poem and writing it on the back. That's just a bonus. But it did include the time for selecting colours. And those marker colours did take to this card really beautifully. You can see it's vivid and smooth. I also made a cool discovery, you might have noticed, sort of along here. Down here on these leaves of the flowers where I kind of came upon it by accident, I used this dark yellow-green and then put this very light, bright sort of neon yellow on the edge of it, but it kind of mixed in, and I think because the dark green hadn't set properly yet, it kind of created this really nice blendy texture, which I thought was cool. So I did that intentionally up here on the tree leaves, and then again a little bit on the stem of the flower with some different colours, but it was basically the same effect. That was fun. It means that there are these kind of very textured areas here and here which don't really match the flat colouring on the rest of it. But that's it's the magic of art. Those spontaneous discoveries and the whims of the universe, and let's just let's flow like water through the Milky Way. The cosmos. Let's just do what the spirit of art is telling us to do, man, Anyway, the point is, marker colours do look great, of course. They're very bold and vivid and bright. But because we tend to lay them down colour by colour, it means we have to spend time selecting the colours and selecting a nice palette. And, this is fairly simple, but I've still ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... 7, 8, 9, 12 markers on the desk. So I'm thinking, to save time there, maybe what we could do is go back to using watercolours or something like that. I can choose just 2 or 3 colours and then blend them and lighten them, mix them on the paper. I can get the contrasts between areas of colour and objects in the scene. I can get all of those contrasts that I need just from 2 or 3 colours using painting technique. So that might be good. Shall we try that for the next one? Ooply booply boo. Bippity bippity pa. Well, it seems that by comically whacking repeatedly my markers against the desk just now, I've shattered the cap of this brown-coloured one. So that's a real blow against freedom of speech, I feel. Because the thing is, people always want to know, don't they? They always ask, how long does it take you to do a drawing? How long does it take you to draw one of those? And, if I knew If I only knew. Listen, sweetheart. Listen, sweet potato. That's what I say. Listen, sweet potato. If I only knew, I could tell you. But baby, I don't, so I can't. So listen, why don't you just forget about all that? Why don't we forget about how long it takes to draw a drawing? Draw a drawing. Forget about all those troubles. Let's go someplace together. You and me, baby, will roll around in a big fucking vat of fresh hummus. A mixture of hummus and gack. Do you remember gack? You remember gack from the 90s, baby? Hey, darling, sweetheart, you listen. You remember gack from the 90s? You'd be watching a cartoon. Then they'd say, hey, we're going to go to a commercial break. And on the commercial break, they say, hey, it's Gak. Whoa, Gak, look out. Let's do it right now, baby. You and me, we can leave the world behind. We're going to fuck in a big fucking bathtub full of fucking Gak and hummus. Let's do it, baby. Nobody can stop us. Okay, had to get a reference image. You know, these things, these are the koi kind of flags, banners, what would you call them? They're like sideways fish versions of the wobbly man who wobbles in the air outside American shops that take up like a whole block on the freeway, and then but it's just wind, it's just nature's own wind instead of a machine. Instead of a machine that goes this is just the breath of the very gods. So, it's better. Oh, wow, that's 11 minutes already. Okay, that came together really easily, though, which was nice. The koi banners are for Children's Day, which is a little bit too early in the year for normally when kids would be out insect hunting. But, you can hunt insects anytime you want. They're always around. Plus, Tobias and Jube aren't actually kids, so, they don't have to follow the rules. Man. Oh my God. Jesus. Come on. As usual with this cheap, absorbent coaster card. Fit for purpose as it is, the card really sucks up the paint incredibly quickly. There's not a lot of time to work with it before it's kind of locked in, so to speak. Okay, another sort of side effect of the sponge-like nature of this coaster card is that sometimes it's actually quite difficult to put a second colour on top of the first colour that you've laid down, because the paper has already sort of absorbed its full capacity of paint. If you want to put some red on top of the pink that's already been laid down, in some places, like you can see sort of there in the corner, the red is kind of slipped right off the pink that was already there in some spots. It won't blend or mix on the paper or in the paper because I don't know exactly what's going on, but I imagine that the paper is already kind of full. So that, the new paint can only really rest on top or slide off. This is what you get for trying to do artwork on a coaster. You get pen inks that bleed like crazy, and you get paint that doesn't behave itself. And that's that's part of the, I was going to say part of the fun of it, but let's say it's part of the experience. It's like camping, or climbing a mountain. Is it fun? Is it actually fun? Or is it just good to have experienced in life? Well, I think I must be having fun. But I'm filming, I'm making a video, so it's too late if I'm not. All right. Okay, so watercolor on beer coaster is as troublesome as I remembered it, but more vivid than the memory. As you could see, I've had to kind of lean into the blotchiness to get something approaching an even color across these larger areas. So we've, got a kind of grassy texture here on the hill and on the sky. To get that color fairly even I've had to do this kind of like a watery stippling almost, kind of layering the colors, because the problem is I mix the color and then it absorbs so quickly into the paper that I run out of it, and it's really hard to mix it again precisely the same way. So I kind of have to layer the colors to get a kind of even color overall. Anyway, it's not bad. I think that actually looks quite nice, but as you saw, the result of having to faff about so much with less than ideal materials is that it's taken nearly an hour and 5 minutes. So worse than last time. I think another factor was that even though the composition came together really quickly for me this time on the paper, it is nonetheless a composition that's got quite a few objects and details and all of that, just all the little, penciling it and inking it and doing the fiddly colouring, all of that just adds up, doesn't it? But anyway, this blotchiness of the paint and how long it then adds to the whole process. This is why it's worth paying for quality materials if you can. Not that the paints aren't quality. These are very good Winsor & Newton watercolour paints actually, but the beer coaster, of course, is not really the perfect medium for those. Look at this, right? Look at how much nicer the same paints are on this scrap paper that I was using versus the actual medium that I chose to put them on for the proper artwork. The paints are good. The paints are really good. I should just cut a little square out of this cheap, ordinary, all-purpose sketchbook, which again is just one of these. FYI. Hopes for a long life, an insect caught, flying fish, distant as the sky. All right, it's a new day. I can think of a few ways to try and get the speed up. One is to limit the complexity of the picture, basically the number of objects, the detail in those objects. So, just a character, a thing, a tree, one of my blobby trees, something like that. Maybe that's enough. Limit the palette, which I already talked about, but at the same time as limiting the palette, 2 colours, 3 colours, use a colouring medium that is not time consuming. So basically markers. We'll use markers. We'll just do nice, simple, flat colours. That's fun. I do like working with limited colours and making the colouring more sort of design-like. Another way I could reduce the time would be to skip the penciling stage. And I have done that before. If I only had a pen that was lying around somewhere or in my pocket or something, that's what I would use. But I don't want to do that because, frankly, I'm not Winsor McCay, I'm not Sergio Aragonés. Like some artists really can, when they look at a piece of paper and they imagine what they want to draw, they've got such an incredible, vivid visual imagination. I imagine it must be like they're sort of projecting an image onto the page that they can just about see, and so they can go straight in with the inks as if they're tracing the image that's kind of already there. That's how I imagine it's like for artists who can work at that level, because people have different visual imaginations, as is now well known. It's kind of a spectrum. Some people really can't picture things at all mentally. For me, it's kind of meh. Anyway, point is, I'm not such a great artist that I can go straight in with pens usually and do something that I'm happy with. I do want these to be drawings and not doodles. Simple drawings, but drawings. Eiichiro Oda, he's another one. That guy. Whoa. I'm already breaking my own rule here. I've got Tobias and Jube instead of just one character, but I can't really have one without the other, can I? That would be sad. Try to keep the pencils loose, trusting that I know these characters well enough to draw them, ink them without too much help from my past self doing the penciling. Okay, 9 minutes, 20 seconds. Hey, yeah, okay. Now we gotta pick colors though. As you can see, choosing colours took too long. But ideally, of course, what I would do is I would choose a limited palette of, a selection of markers first, and then sit down and do like a whole session of a few drawings all at once, all using the same markers. And that would save time, but whatever. Let's get on with it. So much bleed, even at the lightest, fastest touch. That was 28 minutes, so under half an hour. And I am happy with that for about half an hour's work. That's pretty good. I was aiming really for under 20 minutes, but I did break a couple of rules. As you can see, I've got more than one character. I've got more than 2 or 3 colors. I was really thinking like two marker pens maximum, and I could do something creative with that. But even so, I think we're on the right track. Let's try one more for this video, but rather than the beer coaster, we'll use the coaster-shaped actual professional art board. And this might save some time as well, because although it is fun doing backgrounds especially, where, the precise details don't matter too much. The shape can change a little, the line can be a bit wobbly. On coaster paper, the ink bleeds a lot and it bleeds very, very quickly. And yeah, for background stuff, that can be a lot of fun. But for characters and expressions where I prefer to have a lot of precision, that's kind of frustrating, and it adds to the time because all the drawing techniques I've learned, including, speed that comes with practice and familiarity with the tools, all of the speed advantage goes out the window when the media is not cooperating with me. So again, I might save a bit of time by using a proper artboard. So let's try that next for our last one. Cannot tell you what a delight it is to be using proper drawing card or paper. Just the control I have. It works like it should. Such a relief after the beer coasters. It's a joy. Oh, buttery smooth. So nice, but not too smooth. It's perfect. Too smooth is no good. There's the back of that, if you're interested. So, as you might imagine, I'm a bit annoyed with myself. That took 41 minutes, which isn't bad. It's a nice drawing. But I got a bit carried away, didn't I? Trying to do something compositionally interesting to some success, but that wasn't the intention, that wasn't the plan. I like it, but I used too many colors. There's too much fine detail and fussing about in the coloring. I did this wiggly cloud all the way around, which looks cool, but obviously that takes a lot more time to ink and especially color if I later on spontaneously decide that, the cloud should be reflecting the sunlight from the sunrise or sunset or whatever that is. Point is, you might have been watching that thinking, oh, look out, Patrick, time's ticking away. You're all caught up, you're hyper-focused. And, well, kind of, but not exactly. I could see the time ticking away, but early on, if you commit to, even accidentally, if you commit to a certain level of detail in the artwork, you've got to be consistent all the way to the end. And so you can see the time ticking away, but there's not really much you can do about it. You kind of just have to see it through. So I was, the whole sort of second half of that, I was doing a bit grumpily and impatiently, I'm sorry to say. Hopefully that doesn't taint the work to you. Hopefully you can judge it on its own possibly dubious merits. I mean, no, I like it. I like this guy. I like this weird little kid, this little creature. He's so happy. He's thinking about a cupcake. There's some stuff going on in the picture. You could look at this for a while. Yeah, it's not bad. But it wasn't what I planned. Let's do one more again on the good card, and this time let's really, really commit to doing the simplest thing possible. We're gonna draw Raimundo Person. We're gonna have him next to a fucking tree, and we're gonna use 1 or 2 marker colors. If we use 2, they're gonna be 2 shades of basically the same color. This I decree. Okay, I really wanna get one of these done in 15 to 20 minutes, because in my imagination, that's how long these things take me. They do not, as we are discovering. Right now I'm gonna go and get some food and eat the food, but I will be back to draw a quick drawing. Ta-da! Now, I did stop the timer and then restart it after pondering the drawing for a few minutes before deciding very correctly to add in this big shadow. That should really count as drawing time, but if we cheat and imagine that I'm a better artist who doesn't need to stop and think so much, we can call this a 20-minute drawing. I mean, this is about as good as it can theoretically get in 20 minutes from scratch for me. I did a silly poem on the back of this one too. A binary amenity of tonal homogeneity, cooling shade, sienna, tree, and piping hot serenity. I apologise. I'll explain. You're wondering, how am I supposed to parse this third line here? So what's going on is, this is a list of 2 items in the parentheses here, the brackets, both of which are describing the shade. This is legitimate. It's the shade is sienna in terms of color, and it's the shade of a tree, right? So this actually makes perfect sense. It's grammatically legitimate. So I don't want to hear any complaints. As casual as I might try to be about it, by the way, of course, writing these incredibly feeble poems and putting them on the back like this, that adds so much more. It doubles at least the time it takes to do the drawing. I think I haven't been timing it, but yeah, I mean, whatever. Like I said, this is all a bonus. We're really just trying to time the drawings for this video, and these are to make it more interesting for you, beautiful viewer, and you are beautiful. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I know they constantly do. I witness it and I don't intervene, but I'm telling you now, you're not hideous. You're not a freak or a ghoul. You're beautiful. Like my drawings. Exactly like this. You're brown. Oh, and you might have noticed that this was actually number 66. This is actually day 4 of this video. And yesterday, while I was at my part-time job between classes, I did this one. This is number 65. And so I've done 2 now of those simple 2-toned ones with Raimondo and a tree. This one took 25 minutes, but I do really, really like it. And this one also has a poem on the back. Apologies in advance. Let's take a look at that picture again first. You can see what's going on there. Yep. Raimondo's getting rained on. He's covering his head with a book. Yep. Okay. So, thought of by Raimondo, a walk he took, and also a book. You can't beat a book, he said, about to go. But sort of like taekwondo, the rain did so. A couple of things to note about this poem. You'll notice with Raimondo and taekwondo, I've got little stress marks over those words so that you know that those words rhyme, because they do, actually. And you'll also notice there's a little bit here that I've cut out. That's because, originally, I was going to write what's written there, but sort of like taekwondo. And then when it came to actually writing it and inking it on the coaster, I thought, you know what sounds better, I thought, but not unlike taekwondo. That's got that sort of pleasantly old-fashioned, sort of more formal or literary, but kind of whimsical feeling to it that suits the tone of the poem. So I wrote that, but then I remembered that the reason I had chosen the phrasing sort of like taekwondo was so that the whole line kind of rhymes with thought of by, right? Sort of, thought of. You see, sort of, thought of, Raimondo, sort of Taekwondo. You see, so that's what's happened there. That's what's gone on there, and that's why. That's why this coaster is actually very special. So, what the pissing shit have we learned from all of this? I don't think I've learned anything so much as relearned or confirmed things I already knew, but that can be important and useful too. Number 1, simplicity is good. This looks good. This looks good. This one too. Very simple. Looks nice. A few colors, a few elements. It works. Like, the more colors you add and the more elements you add to the picture and the level of detail that you add and the types of detail and the different media that you add, it makes the whole process more difficult and time-consuming, and not linearly, if you know what I mean. If you're like a maths person, I'm not sure what the right term is. Is it not exponential? Is it algorithmically or you know what I mean? If you have 2 colors and you add a third color, it doesn't make it more difficult like that. It's not linear. It makes it more difficult like that. Do you know what I mean? It you know what I'm saying? Not algorithmic. What is it? Logarithmic? Is that what I'm thinking of? Anyway, number 2, cheap materials like these actual blank beer coasters will probably cost you more in terms of time, considerably, and also in terms of enjoyment, and that's important too. 3, thinking ahead takes time. If you're trying to save time, if you're trying to do something quickly, you want to dive right in and not stop to think and just hit the paper with the pen or whatever it is, depending on the medium you're using. But you want to get in there, get it done. But not thinking ahead, potentially at least, can take a lot more time in the end. You'll make mistakes and then have to go back and correct them. I have a confession to make, actually. Do you remember this one? If you were paying close attention, you'll have noticed that I have since gone back and corrected the completed picture that I showed you before. I did a bit more work on it, about 5 minutes, I think, more work, which brings the total up to, like 45, 46 minutes or something now. For this one, I ended up adding this orange color down here, because I put the pink on top of the yellow here and it became a kind of orange. So I added an orange down here to kind of balance that out. And also just for just tonally, I needed a darker color, sort of medium color down here to kind of balance out the image tonally, and then put a little pattern across it to kind of bring together the pattern I put on the volcano and the stripes I put on the pants. It's much, much better. The extra time was worth it, but it probably could have taken a bit less time if I just thought about it a bit more at the start. I'll tell you, when I was picking colors for this one, I was telling myself, no, don't do this. Don't spend so much time picking colors. Just use the colors you've already got. Maybe grab one more so it's a bit different. And I think I grabbed the purple. I had an instinct that said, if you're grabbing that one and you're grabbing a light blue and you've got the pink and the yellow, grab an orange. You're going to need like a medium orange as well, definitely. And then I told myself, no, don't think about it. Just go ahead, use what you've got, just do the drawing. And I should have listened to my instincts. I should have taken a few extra seconds to listen to my instinct and pick a medium orange. There's not that many in the box to pick from. It wouldn't have taken that long. And I ended up having to go back and do that anyway. So, lesson kind of learned. I don't know. 4, everything always takes longer than you think it will. 5. I am the greatest poet who ever lived. And here they all are, arranged in order of drawing time. What do you think? Does more time equal a better artwork? I'm inclined to say yes, potentially, but A, it depends how you spend that time, and B, time is, of course, only one factor of many. I mean, look at number 61 here. This took 45 minutes, a decent chunk of time, and it's okay. It's nice to see Raimondo again, but you can tell it was kind of a warm-up after not drawing for a while, plus drawing on bleedy coaster paper really didn't help. But that's just my opinion. I would really, genuinely love to know what you think of all of these. How would you rank them specifically from best to worst, or favorite to least favorite? And why? What do you like about them? What do you think not works quite so well about them? You can call them 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, and 66 if you like. Or, if it's easier, we could call them tea, rainy book, ice cream, onigiri, cupcake boy, and carp streamer. That's what those are. They're carp streamers. Do leave a comment if you have both the opinions and the time and the inclination. That's 3 things. That's not both. That's 3 things. Do leave a comment if you have all 3. If you have all of the opinions, the time. Fuck it.
Thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful that you could make the time. It was wonderfully good of you. I've enjoyed making this video and you've enjoyed watching it. But that doesn't make us friends. Do subscribe to the channel. Support me on Ko-fi. Buy a fucking coaster. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Because, like, for all we know, those turtles, they're not trapped in the beer 6-pack plastic rings. You know, they might have swum into them. They might have swum into one of those and gotten stuck. You know, stuck in inverted commas. You know, on purpose, because they like it. You know, they think it's stylish, or, you know, it's fashionable. I don't know, but like I just feel like it. You know, how do we know we're not taking that choice away from them? You know, just because they're animals, does it mean they're not allowed to make choices? Do you know what I mean? Like, I saw a fashion show. I didn't see a fashion show. I saw these these photographs from a fashion show, I guess. This is a human fashion show, obviously. And like there was like a model, but I'm pretty sure she was also the designer. Like, so she was like the celebrity something, and she was a model and a designer, and she was anyway, she was showing off her creation, and she'd come out wearing this dress that she had made out of those plastic 6-pack rings, right? And the point is, there was actually a dead turtle still hanging from one of those 6-pack rings. Do you know? Like, so what does that tell you? Do you know what I mean?